This is Keep On Cooking, a podcast for people who love cookbooks and want to know more about the authors. It's also a great place to get a weekly dose of culinary inspiration to keep things pumping in the kitchen. So grab a cookbook and keep on cooking. I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello, and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and he's an aspiring Delta Sky Lounge member. It's my husband and gal about town, David Rossetti. How you doing, dear?
I'm good. I'm a gal about town.
Gal about town trying to get in that Delta Sky Lounge.
Exactly, if only. And I'm a gal about a new town.
You are a gal about a new town. Y'all, we did it. We're in Chicago. We are here.
We are in Chicago. We didn't totally move to another place in Atlanta. We are in a whole new city, whole new
city. Thanks for your patience as we got ourselves together. We took a
Yes.
little spring summer break so we could get ourselves together and get set up in our new home. And you're looking at, if you're watching it behind us, you can actually see all of the Keep On Cooking. It's the Keep On Cooking podcast library, essentially. I think
that
we
you have been collecting for years and years.
years and years. And I think
So-
we said previously when we were getting ready to move that we had both cleared out of so many things. And when I looked at the cookbook collection, I was like, oh my gosh. And you were like, no, we need to keep those. And I was like, I think you're right. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad you were a champion for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I scoured the internet for a bookshelf that had enough shelves.
You did. You're so amazing. The
us
bookshelf
to-
behind me, you put it up. Also, I will say I did get rid of a few cookbooks.
Yeah.
I tried. I was like, well, let me go through. And there were, I think I got rid of 10.
10. Yeah. 10.
Oh, which reminds me, I just got some new ones and I need to remember I started an Excel sheet with all of them on there
You
now. So I need
did.
to add those to that. I almost like
Correct.
turned around and grabbed the new ones now so I don't forget. But
Inventory.
anyways, we are
Yeah.
here in Chicago.
We
We
are
did
here.
it. We're in our new home. We love it. We're in the Andersonville neighborhood and our address is
For any large packages and gifts.
or if you're just gonna pop on by for dinner, I guess, just putting our address right out there.
That's true.
But we've had a busy summer. It's
Yeah.
been wild. You've been managing a lot of events for the Physicians Committee.
Correct.
A lot of stuff going on there with the Power Foods Diet book.
Yes, the Power Foods Diet book is out.
Yep, and that's been getting around. And then I went to New York and I helped Chloe Coscarelli open her new restaurant. So if you're in New York, make sure you get to
friend of the
Chloe
pod.
on Bleecker, friend of
Chloe
the
on
pod,
Bleecker.
friend of the pod. The food's fabulous as usual, and I had a great time being there for a couple of weeks.
She's amazing.
with
She's a powerhouse.
powerhouse, and got that same back in the original location, y'all. So go check it out on Bleecker. And you've been busy you've been booked and blessed.
I've been booked and blessed. I've booked 2 commercials. One I
Yes.
was not able to film because it was in Tel Aviv, and that was
Mhm.
complicated.
Yep.
But another I booked and filmed in Cleveland, Ohio for 2 days. It was super fun,
Yeah.
and so stretching those muscles, and we're just kind of like diving into seeing theater here. We just saw Noises Off at Steppenwolf, and
Yes, it's a play that's a little long for me, but I still like it.
because it's 3 acts.
It's 3x,
but it's funny.
I still like it. What else do we see this summer? I feel like we saw 6 again.
We saw 6 again.
We
We saw
saw-
Death Becomes Her twice. Which, if you are in New York,
Y'all, it's opening in October.
and do not delay.
Do not
run to that
delay.
box office.
Do not
it is
delay.
a campy gay time.
We're going to miss it. So we're going to be in New York for a week doing some work with the Physicians Committee. By the way, if you're in New York, October 5th, David, what are the
yes.
details? Tell people to come see us.
October 5th at 2 p.m. Up at Symphony Space, kind of their smaller little theater, Leonard Niebuhr Hall. Dr. Barnard will be there talking about his Power Foods book, as well as this guy next to me.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about all the recipes.
And then we'll also have Chuck Carroll of the Exam Room podcast. And Dr. Rob Ostfeld has just joined us as part of the program. And then Plant Powered Metro New York, Miss Liana and her amazing group there is also going to be there to kind of share some new classes that they're going to be offering for us.
And then my sweet angel, Taryn Clayton of Soj Foods, is going to be
Yes.
catering the event. She's based in
Correct.
New Jersey, but coming over to New York to help us out catering the event. Taryn Clayton, Soj Foods, check her out, SOJ Foods on Instagram. Love, love, love her. And I'm glad she's going to be doing the food. It's going to be fabulous, wonderful. So come see us on October 5th in New York City if you get the chance. And you've been booking commercials. Y'all, I've gotten back into singing.
That's right.
Because I love to sing. But the cool part this time around is I'm just kind of doing it for myself. I have no, as a young man in the musical theater world, I was like, well, I've got to pick this song. It's got to be in my book. It's going to book the job. It's going to pay my rent. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm going to sing whatever the heck I want. I found a wonderful gentleman here in Chicago by the name of Alex Newkirk. If you're in Chicago, he does lots of different things. You can come see him play and sing. But he lives a few blocks away, and we get together, go through some tunes. It's lovely. So yeah, we are rocking and rolling here in Chicago. But back to Keep on Cooking, we've got something very exciting coming up that I want to share with you next week. So this is the 17th, next week on September 24th, I believe, if I'm not getting my dates wrong here. Keep on Cooking is having a little baby.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So Keep on Cooking is finally going to have a recipe blog. This is very exciting. It's going to feature, of course, tons of recipes from myself. So we're finally putting all of my recipes in a spot that are accessible to everyone. For years, there was like a vegan roadie Tumblr. There's been an ebook. There's been cookbooks. There's been lots of recipes posted to Instagram, just in the comments.
Just Tumblr.
You can still find it if you look up vegan roadie Tumblr. You're gonna find some old busted recipes. The recipes are good actually, but the photos are like on like bless. Way before I even attempted like actual food photography. Yeah. So now we're gonna put it all in one place for you, and it's gonna have everything. It's gonna have the healthy food that you're looking for, and it's gonna have the decadent stuff, because y'all, that's how I do. I'm not one or the other. I'm all the things, and I'm finding my balance in life, and it's going to share all of those things with you. Plus, it's going to share recipes from the books that we talk about on the Keep on Cooking podcast, which is the most exciting part of it. So usually, and I'm sure we've talked about it on this podcast before, when an author releases a book, they've got a press kit that goes with it. And usually there's about 4, 6, 8 recipes or so in it that they're allowed to share with the masses. So they can post it on Instagram, they can post it on their own blog, they can do post it on other people's blogs. And that's all in an effort to promote the book or let audiences get a taste of a recipe before they buy a book. So we're digging back into the old episodes. We're trying to find, contact those authors and say, hey, do you want us to post anything? We're happy to, so that y'all can get a taste of those recipes. But as we move forward, we're going to be working with the authors and their press kits to hopefully put more recipes on the blog for you to try. We've got a recipe from Lauren McNeill that's going to be up on the blog. It is the miso Dijon glazed tempeh bowl. So you'll be able to find that. Lauren McNeill is who we're talking about today. Let's get into our first episode back as Keep on Cooking returns to the land of the living. I'm really excited about this author and this book. She's so lovely. Her outlook on food is one that I can get on board with. Lauren McNeill is a plant-based registered dietitian and creator of Tasting to Thrive.
Lauren holds a Master's of Public Health in Nutrition with a specialized in women's health. Through her social media platforms, Lauren shares easy and approachable plant-based recipes that are nourishing while still being delicious.
Speaking of, I just mentioned we've got that great blog coming out. It's going to be keeponcooking.com. So I didn't really mention that before.
And keep on cooking.
Yeah, no G. No G. We all know that's the name of the pod. You got to keep on cooking, not keep on cooking. You got to keep on cooking. So it's keeponcooking.com. And like I said, we're going to feature that miso Dijon glazed tempeh bowl. So be sure to check that out when the website comes out on September 24th at keeponcooking.com.
Yes. And that is a nice way to sample a recipe from the book before you commit to buying it. Because that's always the thing. Like, sure, the pictures look good, but like, can I just try one? Just so you can kind of get used to that. So, of course, you can always check out her website for yummy stuff from her, in addition to recipes from the book. Or again, like as we said, the keeponcooking.com.
Also, on that note of trying recipes, I just had Kadri Nelson on. We did an interview, and she wrote the latest edition of Living Vegan for Dummies. And she has so many great points in it. But one is going to the library to check out a cookbook and sample it before you buy it. So, you can go, there's so many places to like try recipes before actually committing to a cookbook these days. So that's another just great tip. Go to the library, see if they have the one you're interested in, check it out. But now let's get back to Lauren McNeill. In addition to all of the wonderful materials that she has to offer online at tastingtothrive.com. She provides one-on-one nutrition counseling services virtually through her private practice and has created online programs to help people thrive on a plant-based diet. Now, here she is to share all of the ins and outs about this fabulous book. And I got to say, I really love this book. There's a lasagna soup in here that I love. Do you remember it?
Yeah,
you
made it. For sure. I remember it.
I like every time I pick up this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make that soup immediately. So fabulous book. Love it. The simple vegan kitchen, nutritionally balanced, easy and delicious plant-based meals for daily wellness. Here she is. It's Lauren McNeill. She's committed to helping us create delicious dishes that are satisfying and also fuel our bodies. It's registered dietitian and creator of Tasting to Thrive, Lauren McNeill. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Dustin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, it's great to see you. We're going to dive right into your icebreaker. So what is, or do you have a go-to karaoke song? And if you're not the karaoke type, what's a favorite song to belt in the car, in the shower, or while you're cooking or something of that nature?
Oh, I love karaoke. I think Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson is probably my best one. But
I'm writing it down, listeners, if you can't see.
Yeah,
I've been making a little list because I used to be scared of karaoke, and now I'm like, I'm ready to like dive into this.
No, it's so much fun. But if they don't have that, I mean, I can rely on anything Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. So that's an easy one. That's an easy one for me.
Have you seen the Eras tour live in person?
I haven't, but I will be going in Toronto in November. So I'm excited about that. Yeah.
All right. When we're off mic, I'm going to ask you how much your tickets were. So be prepared for the off mic question. I'm so curious and zero judgment. I saw the 1989 tour and I'm so grateful I did because I feel like that was right at the time when like, my ticket was expensive, but not like, and it's not Taylor Swift's, it's just bananas. Like the world and concerts and scalpers and, online resale and all that is just out of control.
It's so wild. And I think, so I'm Canadian in Canada and there weren't that many options for dates. So it was wild. It was completely bananas having to get tickets. So I feel very lucky. But yeah, the price tag was definitely a shock. That's for sure.
We're going to chat more about this because I told you before we got on, I'm moving to Chicago and she's got a show still because this tour seems to also be the tour that's running forever. In the fall of 24, she's got a show in Indianapolis, which would not be too far away. And I still get on and look for tickets. I'm like, I'm not giving up. I'm like, I'm not giving up on this.
You know what? It's a once in a lifetime, in my opinion. So I think you should do it.
Did you go to the AMC Taylor Swift?
No, I didn't. But I wish.
I mean, you don't have to. You're going live and in person.
Exactly.
I went to AMC because I was like, I think I'm not going to catch this live and in person. So I need to like, But anyways, it was a good time. You'll have an even better time. It'll be fantastic. My karaoke song. Have you ever seen the movie Grease 2?
Of course.
Oh, hug from across the miles here. Well, I was obsessed with that movie when I was a kid, and I went somewhere where someone was doing karaoke and Cool Rider was in the book. And now I'm like, that is my official always and forever karaoke song, if they have it, obviously. But like, I felt wonderful about life when I was up there singing that. So Cool Rider from Grease 2 is my jam forever and always. But
write that down.
Well, I appreciate the Since You've Been Gone nod because I've been in the car with my husband even, I don't know, it was like 2 weeks ago. Someone was talking about karaoke just and I was like, David, we've got to find duets to do. We've got to find we got to pick up some like 80s like rock songs and like harmonize a little. This is why karaoke has been a bad situation for me because I get very serious about it, which is a downfall. I'm aware.
Yeah.
So, I'm taking the fun out of it essentially. He's like, or we could just get up and sing it. I'm like, or you could sing the harmonies.
It has to be a full performance. When you're up there, you have to entertain.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you're with me. All right.
I get it.
Well, Lauren, in this book, The Simple Vegan Kitchen, you lean on your experience to give us an evidence-based, balanced plate approach to eating. You guide the home cook each step of the way in preparing varied, nourishing dishes while building a lifelong, healthy relationship with food, which we're on board with here at Keep On Cooking. How did working in food start for you, and when did it become a vegan venture?
Such a good question. So I became vegetarian when I was 17, and that was before, wanting to become a dietitian. I didn't even know what a dietitian was. But when I started university, I thought maybe I would go into medicine or something like that. So I kind of pursued just a general sciences degree and absolutely hated it. I felt like I had no direction in terms of what the outcome was going to be or anything like that. And then I kind of discovered dietetics, and then that was a field. And at that point, being vegetarian and having made that choice for myself, I was always kind of interested in food and health, but just didn't really know that that was a path that I could pursue. So once I figured that out, it was kind of just a straight line from me from there. So I did university to get the accredited degree, had to do a 1-year internship to become a dietitian. And kind of along that way was when I really discovered that going vegan was probably a little bit more aligned with what I wanted in terms of the ethical reasons for, being vegan versus vegetarian and that type of thing. And so it was a really slow journey for me. But along the way, naturally becoming vegan, you have to learn how to cook a lot for yourself, especially at that time. So that was when I really kind of dove into cooking and, learning different recipes, getting more familiar in the kitchen, and kind of decided to share about that journey online, which is where, I started Tasting to Thrive, my Instagram and my blog and my other social media channels. And it kind of just took off from there.
I love it. That's great. When you look at, well, he's saying it started for ethical reasons. I don't usually dive into this much on here, but it's when you discovered then the health connection, because what I love about your Instagram is that it really is, you're talking about feeling satisfied. So we're talking about health benefits, but also like, how can you have the health benefits while also being satisfied? So it's interesting to get into it for ethical reasons. I mean, I got into it for vanity first. I was like, oh, I can manage my weight maybe a little bit this way. I was an actor at the time. It made sense to me. And now it's become all the things, right?
Yes.
And so I'm curious then, when you discovered the health part of it, was it just like a light bulb then? And you were like, oh, all of this comes together.
Yeah, exactly. So, I always say to people, it's kind of 3 main reasons that people typically want to go vegan. So it's either health reasons or maybe vanity reasons, ethical reasons, or environmental reasons. And I'd say ethical was like kind of my gateway into it. But then exactly, once I realized that, wait, I actually feel so much better eating this way, and not just, being vegan, but preparing a lot of my own food and doing that type of thing. It was kind of just a no-brainer for me at that point, because I'd never really had that type of energy before or felt that good. So yeah, that's exactly it.
I love seeing you recently, and I don't know if it's super recently, but in the ones that seem to look recent on the Instagram algorithm, you never know. But you're talking about sugar a lot recently. You partnered with Sugar Institute in Canada, is that right? And so to have a dietitian sort of just like spelling some ins and outs about sugar, I think is very just comforting to see almost, that there's a dietitian that's talking about it and using it instead of saying, get rid of it completely. You're saying, here's some variations and ways to use it. And you're talking about it as opposed to treating it like, the ugly stepchild or something,
Yeah. And I'm so happy that that's kind of what you gather as well from the messaging, because that is completely my intent. I think there's a lot of black and white thinking in terms of nutrition, and everyone kind of thinks that they're a nutrition expert, number one. And number two, it can be a very kind of all or nothing isolating kind of environment. And so when, you know, I was approached in terms of a partnership, I think some people would think, oh, like a dietitian promoting sugar, is that, you know, right? Is that ethical? For me, it was, this isn't about promoting sugar. This is about recognizing that we're all human beings. We're all going to want to eat sugar. And how can we do this in a way that is really balanced and making sure that if we are, you know, having a cookie or a piece of cake or something, how can we make that, you know, an appropriate serving size and something that you can have and enjoy and then move on with the rest of your day versus eating the entire cake because it's there.
Yes.
So that was something that was really important to me. And then as well as like other myth busting things around it. So I'm really happy that that's what you kind of gathered from that messaging too.
Yes, everyone, she talks about the bone char, the processing with bone char on there. Hot topic always.
Yeah,
Which interesting to find out on your Instagram. In Canada, sugar is not processed with the bone char.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that was something that I wasn't even really privy to when I first became vegan, that was something to even think about. So when that kind of came, you know, across my desk, I was like, wow, this is interesting. It's something that I should definitely be talking more about.
Yeah, I love that you do. And everyone, go follow. It's called Tasting to Thrive if you don't follow already, for lots of great information. And I think most importantly, for me at least, how to create balance and be satisfied, which is what I really, really love about the account. And speaking back to cooking, and we're talking about cookbooks and how you got into food. Was there a vegan cookbook when you went full vegan? Is there a first vegan cookbook you had that you loved and cooked from a lot?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Oshi Glows was and is an icon at the time. So that was definitely my first cookbook that I got and actually really cooked from kind of front to back. I think before, I wasn't really making recipes in the same kind of way. It was like throwing things together. And so that really showed me you can make vegan food and you can make it taste really good. So that was kind of my holy grail at the time. Absolutely.
That makes sense. Oh, she glows. People love to glow. That's good. So that's Oh, She Glows by Angela Liddon. Is that correct?
Yes. And she is Canadian.
And of course, everyone can follow Oh, She Glows. Well, you open up this book, The Simple Vegan Kitchen, talking about plant-based nutrition for balanced everyday eating, covering the macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and then our micronutrients with B12, iron, calcium, iodine, selenium, zinc, and vitamin D. You talk about a balanced plate approach and even intuitive eating, but you close the intro out with a section on enjoying your food. And I think these are all very important categories. Before we jump into the mouth-watering recipes in here, I have to say, I had the carrot cake overnight oats yesterday, and I have another one in there that I can't wait to have. But before we jump into the recipes, I was hoping you'd elaborate on the section about enjoying your food. It sounds simple enough, but what does it really look like to have a balanced diet and enjoy your food?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is something that I actually spend a lot of time talking about, whether it's with clients or people who are in my DMs, about nutrition, because I think a lot of the times we think of two kind of main factors when it comes to eating. So what are you eating and how much are you eating? The what you're eating, oftentimes, if we have health goals or, you know, just want to feel our best, is a lot of the times really focused on like healthy eating. So making sure that we're eating, you know, really nutrient rich foods, and then how much we're eating comes into play with that as well. But the piece that I find people don't typically focus on enough is, do you actually enjoy what you're eating? Because you could be eating like the most beautiful, balanced salad, but if you hate that salad, you're still going to want something else afterwards, even if you physically feel full. And that's where a lot of like the cravings and late night eating and that type of thing really come into play. So my focus is really, if you're going to eat something, there has to be at least one aspect of that thing that you really love. So if you are going to make a salad, make sure that you absolutely love the dressing that you're putting on the salad, or make sure that you're adding some crunch to it. So there's some different textures. Use salt or a little bit of sugar to make it actually taste good, so that you like it and you can, once again, kind of move on with your day and not be constantly thinking about food.
Yes. I mean, that is really just such a great tip. I don't think it's just said so well. It's so simple, right? Like, make sure there's something about it you enjoy. Like, that is, I think would save a lot of people from a lot of distress when they're trying to, maintain certain goals with their food and everything, because enjoyment, it's fuel, but also like you should enjoy it. It's something you have to do. Like, you have to eat to survive.
Yeah. And I think when people are trying to eat healthier or more nutritious, whatever you want to call it, a lot of the time we're really focused on what they're taking away from what they're eating. I even see this in people wanting to go vegan. But if we focus more on what we can add to our plate to make it more balanced, but also make sure that you're actually enjoying that food, you're going to ending that meal feeling really good and like you ate something that was delicious, but also healthy. And adding those things, those components that you really enjoy, doesn't take away from the really nutritious part of what you're eating as well.
Yeah, I love that. Focusing on the things that you can have. I feel like I'm big on that too. You have to, especially for people trying a plant-based diet for the first time, they're like, but I can't have. And I'm like, but there's so much you can have. Like, just so much you can have. So focusing on the things that you can have. And I hate to tangent again, but I'm curious. I saw something on your, I'm just literally, it's like little bullet points in my head of like all the great tips that you have, right? Because it really is that good of an Instagram. What you said something recently about one where if you feel you're somebody who you need like a little something after dinner still. What am I talking about? First of all, but what is the tip to that too?
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's where I really go into talking about the 3 components that we need to feel full. So the first component that we need to feel full is getting a good balance of food. So that's going to be looking at your macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fat. And then the second point is going to be making sure you're eating enough volume of food. So even if you have a good macronutrient breakdown of, again, protein, carbs, fat, and actually technically fiber isn't a macronutrient, but I like to kind of add it in there too, because it's really important.
We're all for the fiber. Yeah.
Right. So making sure that you're eating enough volume of food to really feel full. But then that third point is making sure that you're adding something to that meal to feel enjoyment. So if you're someone who, again, like has a salad and feels like 30 minutes later, you're still hungry, are you adding protein to that salad? Are you adding fiber? Is there a carbohydrate in there? Is there, a nice healthy fat in that salad as well? How big is that salad? If you're eating like a really like small soup size bowl of salad, that's not going to leave anyone feeling full. But if you're having a really nice big volume salad, that's going to do a lot better. And then, if you're someone that knows that traditionally you can't eat a salad and feel satisfied from it, can you add something else to the side of it? Can you have like a piece of toast with avocado on the side so that you actually enjoy that salad and that eating experience, to not feel hungry or like what I like to call snacky 30 minutes later, where you feel like you just kind of need something. And for some people, what works is adding something to that meal that they know they're going to want later. So for example, like let's say you're having lunch and you're always kind of snacky after lunch. Can you have like a chocolate chip cookie intentionally with your lunch and add that in so that you're not craving it more later on? So that's what I'm kind of getting out with that Instagram reel.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking about being snacky for a friend, obviously, not myself.
Of course.
For a friend. I do find after lunch, I'm always like, I want a snack now. But I feel It's funny you said that about salad too. When I make salad for last night, we had lasagna and then a big salad, and I brought it to the table. I make these huge salads for myself, and my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I want this. I want all of these vegetables is the thing. He's more of a side salad type guy. I'm getting him there little bit by little bit, make the bowl bigger, you know?
Yep.
Oh, well, let's dive into this book here and take a look at these recipes. You open with hearty mains. For someone just picking up this book, what is a hearty main you would suggest they make first?
Oh, there's so many good ones. I can't remember if this is in the hearty mains section of the book, but there is a one pot gnocchi recipe that's like a mushroom, lemon.
One pan mushroom gnocchi. Is that the one?
Yep, that one's it. And that is really delicious because that takes something that I think a lot of the time people don't necessarily feel that like full satisfaction factor from, which is pasta, or maybe they feel, hungry again 30 minutes later. And we really add volume to it through mushrooms and kale, and then also beans to add a really good amount of fiber to it as well, to make it a really well-balanced meal. And it's a one-pan meal and it's super easy, which I think is perfect for most people.
Yeah, it looks like you've got some other one pans in here too. I see a lemon dill potato sheet pan meal, which already I'm in. Lemon dill potato. Come on. We got warming vegetable and chickpea curry, creamy garlic lemon pasta, miso ginger tofu stir fry, sun-dried tomato and Brussels sprouts pasta, apple dill chickpea mash, 15-minute sun-dried tomatoes and white beans. So I feel like as well, and please correct me if I'm wrong because we're only in the first chapter, these all feel like pretty like quick and easy recipes that we're looking at too.
Yeah, that was my main goal because what I found with some of the vegan cookbooks that were out there, which are all amazing. But what I really wanted to focus on was what's realistic. Like, what are people actually going to cook at the end of a really busy work day? Because I know for me, there's no way I'm making an hour meal at the end of a work day. Maybe on the weekend, if I'm feeling like I want to spend some time in the kitchen.
Yeah, they all serve their purpose, these recipes.
Totally. But I really wanted this to be approachable, really balanced recipes that people knew that they could go to and be able to find something that they like the taste of, but they could make really quickly for them or their family and feel good about.
Yeah, that's great. It's so funny you say that about that. My second book is called Epic Vegan, and it's all about putting different recipes together to create these big over-the-top wild creations, right? And I'm very clear about that in the description. I'm like, this is a get in the kitchen with your friends on a Saturday and put together some wild, crazy things. Meanwhile, the first 3 chapters of the book are the like foundational recipes. So those can be like weeknight meals essentially, right?
Yep.
But without fail, I still years later get somebody who's like, I bought this and the recipes are not quick. But then I came out with the follow-up, which was Epic Vegan Quick and Easy, where it's all like one pot, one sheet. I'm like, if that's so now I can say, I'm like, no, I got that for you. That's the other one after that. But it's like, there is a difference between, these cookbooks, like they're geared towards exactly what you need. Listeners listening, it's geared towards what you need. So this book is quick and easy weeknight meals, or a little meal prep in here too. You've got that great meal prep section at the end, which I love, which we'll get to. Some more hearty mains. You've got the Herby lentil meatballs and garlic bread. Yes. Love seeing a dietitian give me some garlic bread in here.
Of
Tell
course.
me about your garlic bread. How do you make your garlic bread?
So I just use like a vegan butter, but you could definitely use olive oil. If you were doing that, I would just make sure to add salt to it because obviously butter has salt in it and olive oil doesn't. And I'll do that with some minced garlic or garlic powder, depending on how you want to go. Sometimes both works well, actually. You can do chopped parsley if you want to, or dry parsley. And then I just broil it. It takes like 5 minutes and it's super delicious as like a side to honestly any soup or just on its own.
I just want garlic bread now.
And
that's the satisfying factor, right? You get this, we're being smart about it. We're probably having a serving of bread with and that's where it can be a little tricky for some of us, but also like that's the balance and that's the satisfying part.
Absolutely. And so for something like that, I like to tell people, don't look for satisfaction from a food that is supposed to be an enjoyment food. So what I mean by that is if you, come to the end of the night and you are genuinely hungry after dinner, maybe you didn't eat enough, earlier in the day, maybe, you maybe didn't get enough protein or fiber to really keep you feeling satisfied. And so you look inwards and you know that it's genuine hunger that you're feeling. Opening that bag of chips, yes, it's going to be delicious, but it's not going to help that genuine hunger that you're feeling. So can you have some of those chips, but can you add maybe like an apple and peanut butter to the side, which I know is a weird combo, but just something to give you like protein and fiber to it as well. Maybe some like steamed edamame for some protein, just something that will actually satisfy the hunger, and you can still have the thing that you enjoy. But realistically, like chips, chocolate, cookies aren't going to leave you feeling full in the quantities that you would probably want to be eating them in.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm going to mention another one in here, and then we'll move on to warming soups. But barbecue chickpea wraps, everybody get into it. Well, that takes us into warming soups. So are you a soup all year round kind of person, or just in the winter?
Well, I live in Canada, so soup all year round, is
right.
kind of the way to go.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that soup is probably my favorite category of food. I find soup recipes for some reason for me really easy to develop. And I enjoy the taste of them so much that that was a section of the book that I was so excited to kind of dive into.
Yeah, I just feel like they're so hearty and satiating, easy to make. Great thing to tell someone who's just getting into it. Like, here, try these soups. You actually posted, again, here I go with your Instagram, a lasagna soup that I need to return to because it looked so good and I want to make it. So I'm gonna probably tonight, actually. Well, what's a soup of yours, a favorite soup of yours from this book then, from this chapter?
Oh, so this is my favorite section. So
you're like, how dare you make me pick a favorite child?
There's a hearty vegan sausage stew that I actually had last night for dinner. And every single time that I make it, both my husband and I are like, this is one of my best recipes that I've ever made. It tastes really balanced and very hearty. And I really think that if you weren't vegan, you would still love the soup. If you were looking for one that maybe didn't use like a vegan meat alternative for whatever reason, there's like a spicy black bean tortilla soup that I also think is absolutely delicious and has lots of veggies, fiber from the black beans, and is really satisfying as well. So I love that one too.
Well, speaking of lasagna soup, y'all, it's in the book. So
Yeah.
I will, and I just looked at the ingredient list. I have everything on hand. So I will be making this today potentially when we get off this call.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. And you just said, I'm sorry, because I got really into reading the lasagna. I was listening, but then I was like, it's in here. The lasagna soup is in here. You said the black bean soup, and then you also said the hearty vegan sausage stew, right?
You got it. Yep.
And I love the comment about your husband and you sitting there being like, this is one of the best ones in the book, because that does happen. There's recipes I return to again and again, and my husband and I are both like, geez, we love this recipe. And we're like, we hope other people are making it too, because it's just so good.
I know. And I feel like I can never shut up about it. I'm like, I should probably talk about some of the other recipes as well, but this is a good one.
No, I get it. Hey, when something's good, we got a lemon chickpea orzo soup and that simple lasagna soup I was just telling everyone about, which y'all really, it is simple, looks so good. Peanut curry noodle soup. Yes. Brothy vegetable dumpling soup, garlicky white bean soup, and homemade croutons. All right. What's the secret to the home? Look at me go right to the bread on everything. What is the secret to your homemade croutons?
I mean, it's kind of the same as the garlic bread. I'll kind of give that spoiler. You're kind of going with the same vibe. You're just making it a little bit more crispy, and it's so good.
I love it. So good. So we got all the soups, we got hearty mains. Now we're moving on to balanced salads and bowls for the next chapter. For someone who might be looking to meal prep, maybe salads and bowls are a good one for that because you're making sure you have a nutrient full item for yourself midday when you're busy. Perhaps, is there a salad or bowl you recommend from here for that?
They're all delicious. There is a I believe it's called the peanut lime edamame crunch salad or something like that. That is
edamame crunch salad with peanut dressing. Nailed it.
That's it. That is so good. And what I love about that one in particular is because it uses cabbage as one of the base ingredients, you can meal prep that one ahead of time and toss it in the dressing. And in my opinion, it only kind of gets better as the days go on because the cabbage kind of breaks down a little bit and it's really delicious. It kind of hits all the factors of being like a little bit sweet, a little bit savory, salty, crunchy. It's really good.
So many great ones in here. I love getting inspired for these things. I think salads and bowls, we all sort of like in our minds, I think we kind of think, oh, I'll just get these vegetables and toss it together. But ultimately, if you have a roadmap to follow for a salad and a bowl, at least I'm finding for myself. Like I've been pulling lately. There's a place called Love Alive Cafe. Have you ever heard of it? Or Life Alive?
I
Life
haven't.
Alive. It's in the northeastern United States area, and they have these beautiful bowls. And every time I've been there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with these bowls. So now I just go to their website and I'm like, well, I know the magic here. Like take the ingredients from this thing you love and like replicate it. And that's what I've been doing. So to have a guideline like this of these beautiful bowls, we've got things, creamy dill pickle salad, easy lemon pepper tofu bowl. Yes, please. Beaten quinoa salad with maple vinaigrette and beets. I'm here for it. Cabbage, cucumber, and pumpkin seed salad with green goddess dressing, lemon, lentil, and quinoa salad. We got a taco salad, y'all. Best ever taco salad. Tell me what makes it the best ever taco salad. Tell me about the taco salad.
It's all the different components. It's the crunchiness of the lettuce and the nacho chips. It's the black beans. The dressing that we use is so good. I could put it on everything. It's just the combination of things in the taco salad that is amazing.
What's in the, and I'm putting you on the spot here, so I have the book. What's in the dressing for it?
I'm trying to remember. I believe here I have it too.
I went right to the page, so look at that.
Amazing. I believe it was a mayo, like a vegan mayo base.
Oh yeah, with lime juice and sriracha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we use that. If you didn't have vegan mayo, you could probably use tahini and get a similar outcome, not the same. I won't say the same, but maybe similar. That would be delicious.
All these ingredients are fantastic. We got sweet potato in here. We got tomatoes, peppers. We got the romaine. You talked about some salsa in here. The chips, so good. And I want to give a shout out to one more before we move on to the next chapter. The lemon tahini white bean Caesar salad. I love a Caesar. I know everyone else does. And I love this twist with lemon tahini. That's fantastic. So another one I'll have to put on my list here. I've been getting... I tend to go, I don't know how you are, but when February comes, February is like birthday for me and Valentine's. It's also my husband's birthday. In January, I don't fall off the rails at all, but I tend to go the opposite of everyone else, where everyone else is like, it's the new year. I'm like, I'm going to reflect on all the good stuff I did in the last year and sort of see where that's taking me in the new year, as opposed to like hitting everything really hard. So now I'm like in March. And I'm starting to like get all my, my new vision for my meal prep on and everything. And this is helpful seeing this. So I love seeing the lemon tahini white bean Caesar because I think I'm going to have to come to that. Okay. The next one you give us is simple sides. Now, I love a sides chapter because I always recommend to people when they're going to some sort of gathering, especially if it's not an all vegan gathering, to take a couple sides with them. I think it's a great way, someone's hosting something. You don't want to necessarily overshadow with like a main dish if they're making something. I have done it. I'm not saying I won't ever do it again, but I'm just saying, if you bring like a couple sides, you're kind of like, oh, I have these couple things, but also you're giving yourself a little variety. So you can like have two big helpings of the sides maybe, and you'll be satiated, you'll be happy, and you'll wow everyone else with the sides. So is there something in this chapter you would recommend for somebody to take to a gathering that might wow the other guest?
Ooh, such a good question. So the one side that I made that was maybe kind of unexpected to me and how good it was, I could find the exact one, but it was a pan-fried broccoli with balsamic and walnuts.
Pan-fried balsamic, broccoli, and walnuts. You got it.
Perfect. So what I loved about that is, again, you have different textures. So you have the walnuts, and something happens to nuts in general when they're just very slightly like roasted or warmed up that just is amazing. So having that with the broccoli and the balsamic, I remember testing that recipe kind of on a whim, and I ate the entire pan in one sitting. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. I hope
It
it's
has.
not.
And halfway through, I'm like, well, this is a good sign, but also like, calm down.
Exactly. I have 10 other recipes I have to test today. So I should probably relax. That one was delicious and unexpected. And I feel like would pair well with a lot of different things if you were going to some sort of gathering.
Yeah.
That is a really good one.
Oh, I love it. And this is really a great chapter for making the most out of your vegetables, it looks like. So we got maple roasted carrots, curry sweet potato fries with maple Dijon dipping sauce. Yes, smoky roasted cauliflower, fresh sesame cucumber salad, garlic roasted green beans, and basil pesto potatoes. Love all of that. Excuse me. I was just thinking too, when you said the tasting thing in culinary school, it was like our first week of class, and we had a whole thing where we did all these recipes, and then they were like, okay, the instructor was like, try the recipes. So we all like loaded our plates up, and we got done, and they were like, you guys need to learn the difference between tasting and eating. And that was one of the biggest lessons I ever got, because I was like, oh, because we all had lunch like right after that class, I remember too, and we all were like, we can't eat anything, and we all brought our lunch with us. We were like, this is ridiculous. There is an art to tasting, you know, especially if you're tasting something and making adjustments. You want to take a little taste, make your adjustment, take another. But then we get moments like this too where it's just too good, you can't help it.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I know for me, typically I'll test a few recipes in one day just to kind of get it out of the way. And if I have too much at one point, I don't even want the next recipe. But it is a fine balance, because if I go into a recipe testing day too hungry, that's a recipe for disaster too, in a different way. So it is a fine balance.
I feel like we have the same approach, because I do tend to like, instead of like testing one, I'm not saying I never test a one-off, but like I'll stack a recipe testing day to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in the kitchen for like 10 hours today. And I'm doing like, several recipes at once.
Exactly.
And you got to be ready for it. Like you're saying, you got to, mind and stomach in the right place, essentially.
Exactly.
Well, the next chapter is nourishing breakfast and snacks on the go. My favorite from here is the carrot cake overnight oats. I was going through here the other day preparing for this, and I was like, I need to make this immediately. And I did, and I was so glad. And like I said, I've got another one in there waiting for me that I can't wait to have. But what's your favorite breakfast for you from here? Is there something that you make often?
Yeah, I mean, the carrot cake overnight oats holds a special place in my heart, because that one was developed because my mom makes the best carrot cake ever.
Lovely.
She's known in our family. Like, everyone asks for her carrot cake on special occasions. So not that this oatmeal, I can't say it's as good as that. Of course, it's oatmeal. But that one is delicious. Another one that I really love is there's a decadent chocolate raspberry chia pudding, I believe is what it's called.
Decadent raspberry almond and chocolate chia pudding.
So that one is amazing. And some people are skeptical to try chia pudding, which I completely understand. If the texture is an issue for you, that's completely understandable. What I recommend doing there is just blending it after it's done, because then it becomes more of like a true pudding-like consistency. But what I really love about chia pudding is, again, it has that balance of protein, carbohydrates, healthy fats, especially if you make it with like soy milk, it'll have a good amount of protein in it, or other kind of like a pea milk, or, a higher protein dairy alternative is really good in that one. So I'd say that one's probably my favorite.
And that's for a breakfast, right?
Yeah, I do have it for breakfast. You could have it for a snack as well.
I was going to say, what's like a snack option from here that you love then?
My favorite snack option is probably there. So if I'm going sweet, there's the oatmeal chocolate bars. I can't remember exactly what I called them, but those are really delicious. And
chocolate oat bars? Are those the ones?
Yes. Those are delicious. If I'm going savory, I did a roasted chickpea recipe in the book, actually. That was amazing. And I don't think roasted chickpeas, I mean, I know among the kind of vegan community, they're very well known, but I think outside they don't get enough credit, because have so much fiber, a good amount of protein in them. And if you flavor them well, they actually are good. And you can make them crunchy, so they kind of hit that kind of crunchy craving as well.
Yeah, nice. I've been doing some roasted edamame lately, and I like it for the same reason. Having like a little, a little bit of salt on there, a little bit of crunch, sort of it gives me that if I wanted potato chips, perhaps, not that I wouldn't eat a potato chip, I certainly would, but like I don't buy a bag of potato chips and keep it in the house because I know myself. So instead I can keep, some edamame snacks on hand. But I'll have a potato chip every now and then, everyone. I'm not hating on potato chips. Okay. So great options in here. Protein packed avocado toast, peanut butter, cinnamon, low sugar granola. Yes. Sun-dried tomato and broccoli egg bites. Everyday, it says my everyday ultimate green smoothie. What's in your ultimate everyday green smoothie?
So the biggest thing with the smoothie, again, is that you're getting protein, you're getting some good carbohydrates that have fiber in them, and you're getting fat. If you're someone who feels like they can't drink a smoothie and feel satisfied after, definitely recommend trying this one and incorporating those different options. So in mine, I do some sort of green, either spinach or kale, just depending on what I feel like and what looks good. If you're new to green smoothies, probably do spinach just because the kale can be a lot. And then
you'll get there. You'll get to the kale. Start with the spinach.
Exactly. And then I do frozen strawberries, banana, ideally frozen if I can. And then I will do soy milk in it for some of that protein and a seed. So typically flax seeds for the omega-3, but it could also be chia seeds or hemp seeds for that good omega-3 as well. And then oftentimes peanut butter as well, just to add a little bit more like delicious flavor to the smoothie as well.
I love it. We have almost the same everyday smoothie. We're smoothie twins. That's great. We got simple cinnamon blender pancakes, one pan breakfast hash. There again with a wonderful one pan recipe. White bean balsamic and rosemary dip, smoky chipotle hummus, super simple lentil bruschetta dip, and sweet and spicy edamame. Yes. Herby roasted chickpeas. Got the roasted chickpeas. Peanut butter chocolate medjool dudes. Yes, I love a peanut butter chocolate medjool date. Lemon coconut energy balls and cranberry apple walnut muffins. So many great things and nourishing breakfast and snacks on the go. And you finish this book out with a 4-week meal plan. It's laid out so nicely. So listeners, if you're looking for a guide to get you up and running, Lauren has you covered. Now, did you pull this meal plan? Obviously you pulled it from the recipes in the book, but are these, I would assume it's meal plans that you've used as a dietitian. Like you've looked at what has worked and sort of put it all together in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So my philosophy with meal plans is that they're kind of just a great starting point for getting someone going, especially when they're kind of just dipping their toes into either wanting to incorporate more plant-based foods or get kind of more into cooking and meal prepping. They can be really wonderful for. So my main things when I was making these meal plans specifically were, number one, that they were realistic, because I think sometimes you get meal plans and every single meal takes like 30 to 40 minutes to make. And if you're doing that 4 times a day, like that's not going to happen. Yeah. So I really wanted it to be things that people could make, during the week or ahead of the week. I tried to do overlapping ingredients a little bit as well, just because I don't know how grocery store prices are there, but I know here in Canada, they're like skyrocketing. So if we can have some overlapping ingredients in a week, that's really helpful, I find. And obviously I wanted to have different kind of, especially protein sources. So maybe if there was like a bean at lunchtime, maybe we do like tofu or tempeh or edamame with dinner, just to kind of vary the protein sources a little bit to make sure that we're hitting all of our amino acids that we need to.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So balance is the theme. I'm here for it. That's so good. Well, this is the part where I ask you about your book brag. What's something when it comes to this book that you are most proud of?
Oh, such a good question. I think what I'm most proud of about the book is that it is balanced. It is simple. The recipes are quick and easy, but they also taste delicious. That was my main thing when I was creating the book. You know, it's all well and good to have a cookbook developed by a dietitian that you know is going to be nutritious and good recipes. But if it doesn't taste good, no one's going to want the recipes or want to make them anyway. So that was really important to me. And I do think that luckily I was able to kind of accomplish that.
Yeah, you absolutely have been able to. And I'm, like I've already said, my mouth is watering over that lasagna soup, which I will be making today. So everyone pay attention on Instagram. I'll be posting it. This episode will come out long after today, but scroll back on my Instagram for it, or check out Lauren's Instagram at Tasting to Thrive, where you can also see that delicious lasagna soup and lots of other great things in this book. That is the Simple Vegan Kitchen, everybody. Lauren, are you ready for your rapid fire round of questions?
I'm so ready.
All right, here we go. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Favorite pasta shape?
Oh, penne.
All right. Oh,
But then bow tie came into my head, and I said, "Oh, maybe bow tie."
There. Are you sure? Okay. All right. Both good ones. Both choices. They can have a tie. If you could cook for a celebrity, who would it be?
Taylor Swift, of course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Is our girl Taylor vegan? She's not vegan, is she?
I don't know one thing about Taylor's workout routine, health routine. Although she did give some information in that Times article about her 3-hour treadmill run while singing her set list.
Oh, well, that's like conditioning.
Yeah, but she needs some fuel for that. So I think I could maybe step in.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad I don't know those things about her. As we're talking about this, I'm like, it's none of my business. But exactly. I'm also curious, you know, how plant-based are you eating, Tay-Tay?
Exactly.
Oh, favorite quick food item to make when you need a meal fast?
Edamame, I think, is a really good component.
Yeah. Edamame is having a moment with us. Barbecue sauce or hot sauce?
Barbecue sauce.
Food trend you would like to see disappear?
Ooh. I think the hate on oat milk.
Oh, very good. Yeah. But curious from a dietitian's perspective, why?
So, of course, you know, there are going to be oils added to plant-based milks a lot of the time for, you know, mouthfeel, but also adding to helping the vitamins and minerals that are added to the milks kind of stay stabilized. And I say oat milk because I think that one gets the most heat when it comes to plant-based milks. But really what I'm kind of getting to is the vegetable oils that are added to it and the kind of hate that gets.
Sure.
Because I think, number one, we actually don't have evidence to show that vegetable oils are detrimental to our health in the quantities that most people have them in. And number two, if we're talking about like having a cup of oat milk a day with a little bit of vegetable oil, that's the most minuscule amount that even if it was detrimental to our health, you're not really going to see the effects of that. So
how much is in? Do you know how much is in?
I don't know the exact amounts because I'm sure it varies brand to brand. But I would guess maybe like a teaspoon. I would assume that's, you know, my guess.
Yeah. I put you on the spot with that one. It is rapid fire. Okay. I just haven't had the chance to chat about it with anyone, so I was curious. The next question's easier, I promise. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate, I guess.
Ooh, a purist.
Yeah, I think so.
Love it. That's great. Last show that you binge watched?
Love is Blind.
Amazing.
Of course.
What dish did you make last?
I made the hearty vegan sausage soup for my cookbook.
That's right. There we go. If you could pick up a certain skill instantly, what would it be?
I think probably, is this a realistic skill or something like flying?
We can do whatever we want. It could be fun.
I mean, if it was something totally unrealistic, being able to teleport different places, absolutely would be my number one thing. My number two thing would probably being able to fall asleep anywhere because I admire people who can do that.
I do too. I do too. There's that episode of Friends, I think, where Phoebe's sleeping like in the middle of Central Perk.
Yes.
And they're like, how does she do this? And every time I see it, I'm like, how does she do that? I wish I could do that. But
I wish I could.
Phoebe was magical and mystical, so she
Yeah.
can do anything. You know, it's kind of where she
Exactly.
lives. If you could live in any decade, which would it be?
Ooh, I think the 70s would be kind of fun.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Donuts or cupcakes?
Donuts.
Nice. And that's your rapid fire. Well done. Well
Yay,
done. I
that
even
was
put you under the heat just a little bit there, and you did so well. Well, Lauren, where can everyone find you, please?
Yeah, you can find me on my Instagram, which is at tastingtothrive_RD for both Instagram and TikTok, or my blog, tastingtothrive.com.
Perfect. And everyone, be sure to go buy your copy right now of the Simple Vegan Kitchen, nutritionally balanced, easy, and delicious plant-based meals for daily wellness everywhere books are sold. Lauren, what a lovely time chatting with you. Thank you so much for making the time to be here today.
Oh my gosh, Dustin, so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. We'd be so grateful if you would rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really does help us.
Yes, thank you so much. And don't forget to check out keeponcookin.com for all of the latest in recipes and Keep On Cooking updates. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.